Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the installment of Scott's Selections here for Tuesday, October 20th. We're getting today's play that a quick recap of what happened yesterday. Unfortunately, the little cold spell we're in the middle of continued as we ended up having Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns at plus 134 on FanDuel. Unfortunately, he had 2 touchdowns in the first half. Looked really good. I know the weather wasn't great, but Mahomes definitely was on pace to put up a huge game. And then, unfortunately, they ended up scoring a third touchdown, which was of the rushing variety. We had a chance late in the game. But then Reed ended up running that awful toss play on 3rd and inches, which could have potentially given us another shot in the red zone. But either way, I picked up a loss there. Happens. I took the value play there at plus 134. I still think the line was too high and unfortunately did not get there. But we had 30 minutes needing one passing touchdown, and unfortunately it did not work out. But for Tuesday's card, really not a lot to go through. And by that, I mean you literally only have baseball. There's nothing else on. You have no college football. You have no NFL. No random Tuesday night NFL games, unfortunately. But for the play of the day, we're actually not going to be looking at the game at all. We're going to be looking at the series. And there are a couple of series price odds available between the Dodgers and the Rays in the World Series. And for the play of the day, we're going to be taking the Dodgers on the game series spread at minus 1.5 games, which is available on FanDuel at minus 110, a time recording of 4:34 a.m. Eastern Time. And a couple reasons why I like the Dodgers in the spot. First of all, I know a lot of you might feel a little bit afraid to take the Dodgers because of their historical, I'd say, collapses or choke jobs, whatever, however you want to phrase it. The only reason why people say that is because of the fact that they're so good and the expectations are so high that people just expect them to fall apart like they normally do. The only difference between this World Series and the other 2 World Series they lost in, first of all, Houston and Boston had significantly more talented rosters than this Tampa Bay team. Houston was allegedly cheating, so that also factors in. Boston also was allegedly cheating, but they had great players, Mookie Betts being the main one for Boston, and now he's on the Dodgers. But the main thing about Tampa is that they're a great pitching team. Everyone knows that. But the offense is really underwhelming, and you could see that throughout the entire playoffs as they have really fallen asleep at the wheel when it comes to generating runs. That was definitely an issue in the Houston series and a huge reason why they almost blew the 3-0 lead. If you want to look at their playoff performances, they have not scored more than 5 runs in a playoff game. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, in each of their last 9 games, they've scored 5 runs or less. So they really haven't done anything. They've scored 4 runs in 8 of those 9 games. They really just haven't done anything offensively. And I think that's a serious issue when you compare them to the Dodgers. Both teams, of course, have phenomenal pitching staffs, which is showcased by how both teams were in the top 5 in ERA this season. So that's kind of a wash. When you compare the lineups, it's just one-way traffic here for the Dodgers. Look at the projected lineups. I know that Kershaw's pitching game 1, so they're going to stack the lineup with righties. But looking at these projected lineups, just hear me out here. You got Margot batting first. These are all projected. Brosseau batting in at the first base spot, usually Choi, but still. You got Yanni Diaz at third, Brandon Lau at second base batting fourth, Adames batting fifth, Renfroe batting sixth, then potentially Satsugo at DH, maybe not. Kind of depends on where they want to go with that one. Arozarena and Mike Zunino. Now, I know Arozarena has been great. Adames has shown flashes. Adames has been okay as well. And Margot has had a couple of, I'd say, good games. For the most part, hasn't really done anything. Tampa Bay's offense is just not great besides Arozarena. Arozarena has been the only consistent contributor throughout the entire playoffs, and he kind of has carried this team similarly to the Mets team that had Daniel Murphy put the team on his back. Meanwhile, so think about those Tampa batters that I just listed for you. You have Arozarena, usually Choi, and I'd say Adames and a little bit of Margot. That's basically it. That's all you got for in terms of production. Now, looking at the Dodgers' projected lineups here, you got Mookie Betts, Corey Seager, Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Will Smith, Cody Bellinger, AJ Pollock, Jock Peterson, Gavin Lutz. Now, I know that I know you can switch it off here and there, put a Chris Taylor in there or something like that. But if you want to break down the lineups, the Dodgers are just so much more talented from a hitting perspective. And the reason why I think that matters is because of the fact that I think that the Dodgers can win games in a variety of ways. Tampa can really only win low-scoring games. I don't think they can get into shootouts. I think if the Dodgers score 5 runs at any given game, they're probably going to win the game around 80% of the time. I just don't think Tampa really has enough offensive firepower to keep up with the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers had struggled against Atlanta. Atlanta also has a tremendous lineup, but the pitching staff came around. They rallied from 3-1. And maybe it's just me, but Tampa blowing a 3-game lead there. I know they ended up rallying for Game 7. Still really concerning to me that they almost blew a 3-0 lead. It just tells me that I don't say the moment's too big for this team, but there's a lot of inexperience when it comes to this roster. and the height of the World Series. And the Dodgers, even though they have lost here before, they have a lot of players who have been there and done that, and they know what it takes to win the championship. So I do think that experience might play a factor in this spot. The pitching stats, once again, are a wash. It's mostly the lineups. I think the Dodgers should be able to just outscore Tampa at will, assuming that they are able to avoid some of those offensive lulls they had for a couple of games there against the Braves. But Tampa had some offensive lulls throughout the entire series against Houston, so that's kind of a moot point. But overall, 1.5 games for the Dodgers at -110, I think, is a pretty fair price. But at the end of the day, I think the Dodgers are just the better overall team, and I think they will finally get over the hump, and I think that they will win the World Series probably in around 5 or 6 games. So the play that I once again here for Tuesday, October 20th is going to be on the Dodgers series spread at -1.5 games, which is available on FanDuel at -110. That's been Thomas Scott Selections. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.